BBC News with Sue Montgomery. The United States says it has successfully evacuated 4 of its citizens overland from Afghanistan in the first such operation since the American airlift ended. The details from Alan Johnston.
A US State Department official said the 4 Americans had got out of Afghanistan and safely into a neighbouring state. The official didn't say which one. He said the Taliban were aware of the operation, but that they hadn't obstructed it. The often chaotic US airlift that ended last week evacuated tens of thousands of US citizens, other foreigners and vulnerable Afghans. But it's believed around 100 Americans who want to leave still remain in Afghanistan.
The US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is currently holding talks in Qatar, which has played a pivotal role in facilitating the evacuation efforts. The Taliban say they've now taken full control of Afghanistan after raising their flag at the governor's office in the last province where they'd been facing resistance, Panjshir. Although one of the resistance leaders, Ahmed Massoud, has vowed to fight on, his whereabouts are not known. A spokesman for the militant group has insisted that people in the Panjshir Valley will not face reprisals. But one man told the BBC his family had fled because they were terrified. The Polish Parliament is back to state of emergency that the president declared on the border with Belarus. The government defeated an opposition motion to repeal it. From Warsaw, Adam Easton.
Polish and EU officials as well say Belarus is encouraging migrants who are mostly from Iraq but also from Afghanistan and elsewhere to pay thousands of dollars each to fly to Minsk in the mistaken belief that they can enter the EU legally. These people are then pushed over the border, the government says, with the help of the Belarusian secret services. Now, in practice, the state of emergency means that almost 200 towns in a 3-kilometre strip of land along the border are now off limits, and journalists, significantly, are barred from entering and reporting on what's going on there.
There's been international condemnation of Belarus after a court in Minsk jailed 2 of the main opposition leaders. The US Secretary of State said the conviction of Maria Kolesnikova and Maxim Znak was politically motivated. Ms. Kolesnikova's sister, Tatiana Komich, told the BBC how proud she was of her resilient sister.
When I saw her, I was so impressed. Even after a year in a prison, facing all this pressure on her after being kidnapped on the streets, and even after that, she's so positive and so strong.
You're listening to the World News from the BBC. The Russian media regulator Roskomnadzor has blocked access to the jailed opposition activist Alexei Navalny's smart voting mobile phone app. It said Mr. Navalny's organisations had been designated as extremist. The app gave advice on tactical voting to defeat the governing United Russia Party. It was the last of Mr. Navalny's projects still functioning in the run-up to this month's parliamentary election. The G7 group of industrialised nations has called on President Kais Saied of Tunisia to urgently appoint a new head of government. The group said that naming a prime minister would create space for dialogue about proposed constitutional reforms. In July, President Saied swept aside the government, suspended parliament and took control of the country. One of the biggest stars of French cinema, the actor Jean-Paul Belmondo, has died. He was 88. He was a major box office star in the 1960s and 70s and went on to make 80 films. The BBC's Hugh Schofield says he was the quintessential French anti-hero.
Around the world, the films that people remember him for most are those early 60s films like A Bout de Souffle, Breathless. That's probably the most famous one abroad, where he played a kind of gangster against Gene Seberg, set against Paris, Jean-Luc Godard. It was a new wave film, and that was his breakthrough moment. And he played a character which he kind of riffed on for the rest of his career, which was a lovable, tough guy, very physical, big sort of ugly, mashed up face, but with a smile that shone through it, and with this kind of cheeky, laid-back charm, which was irresistible.
The former Brazilian footballer Pelé says he had surgery on Saturday to remove a tumour in his colon. He said he was doing well and thanked family and friends for their support. Pelé, who's 80, has been in hospital for nearly a week. BBC News.